What was the wildest way you found out you were being cheated on? One of her friends was a photographer and wanted to do tasteful nudes, which apparently includes penetration and multiple days of getting the right shot. We had a shared Google Drive, which her friend didn't know we shared. Apparently she forgot too. Forgotten penetration. Holy shit, that's wild. Your story reminded me of a past ex. Her female friend was a photographer and she had a very intimate photo session with her. Not nude, but pretty damn close. She had told me about this beforehand and I wasn't really for it. The style of the shoot was not really my taste. They were trashy IMO, but I wasn't going to stop her. She got very upset when I questioned what they were for if they weren't for her current lover. Turns out they were for her ex who she was seeing on and off for our entire relationship. Date night canceled day of. I decided to make it a guy's night to see the new Marvel movie at the time. As we entered, I saw her sitting at the theater snuggling up with a guy. Our seats were a few rows back. Saw them kiss a couple times. When we all left at the end of the movie, they were exiting their aisle as we walked down the stairs. She absolutely froze when she saw me. Blocked her on everything while I'm the parking lot. He apparently wrote an address wrong and the love letter he wrote was returned to our home. It was a great way to come back from vacation. Who puts a return address on an illicit love letter? What a moron. My entire friend group knew about it, and I only found out after the one real homie blackmailed her into admitting it, and when she did, it was the most insincere shit ever. It's no big deal, everyone else thinks it's okay, and stuff like that. Suffice to say, I got my ass out of that relationship and friendship group real quick. But how about that other homie? We kinda remained homies, but he wanted to stay friendly with that group, so we didn't really continue to hang out much. Not me, but my dad. His girlfriend at the time had been cheating on him with his friend, who didn't know they were in a relationship. My dad found out when his friend told him he was gonna propose to her. Nah, that's wild. Are they still friends? Yeah, they still laugh about it to this day. Broke up with me, and as I was going though deleting her socials, I noticed a post she made on her Snap story that was her and a guy with a post saying, "With my king." Post was made 2 hours ago and had only broke up an hour ago. With my king, lol, ew. People actually talk like that unironically. Lol, he was probably crusty as hell too. I went on a 2-week holiday and when I returned he was acting really strange. I tried to ask him what was wrong and why he was acting off. He started an argument with me, told me I was too young and insecure, asked me to leave, didn't want to see me again. I left sobbing, totally confused. 9 months later, I see him walking through the city with his ex and a newborn baby. Ah, now I understand. Bullet dodged IMO. My 9-year-old son told me that there were strange men in the house when I was away working. She'd been at it for years. It's horrible to deal with at the time, but honestly, it's such a relief to be rid of such a toxic mess. On my birthday, I was with my girlfriend and I passed out early since I had a long-ass shift that day and I had to drive 2 hours to get to her place. Woke up in the middle of the night, went outside to get a smoke, saw her fucking her ex in his car on the parking lot. He was drunk at his 21st and while joking around with his friends, he started listing off all the women he'd slept with in the last year. I was standing right there and we'd been dating for 2 years at that point. Not really wild, but my ex-wife and I owned a small business together. One day I noticed a strange email address on the office computer. Her first name and a different last name. I realized that email was still logged in, so I took a peek. I found 2 years worth of emails between my ex and some dude she dated before me, so I printed out every email and had it bound in a binder ready to present to my divorce lawyer. Was married. It happened a week or so after my 2 weeks R&R was in the middle of a 12-month deployment to Iraq. Long story short, I hadn't cheated on her, but I sure as hell got diagnosed with a STD a week or so after I returned back to Iraq. We finalized our divorce a couple of months later while I was still deployed. Happened to my cousin too. Came back from deployment, got a STD, and confronted wife about it. She confessed to sleeping with multiple men. I knew he was doomed when he called to tell me he was getting married and joining the army in the same sentence. He sent me a pic of the dog while I was away with a text that said, "Look how cute she looks." Like 3 weeks later, I went back to the photo to show a friend, and upon looking at the photo again, I noticed a pair of women's boots in the background by the door. Came home off a deployment. Now ex-wife was acting really weird, but I figured it was because I had been gone for a year and everything was just taking time to get reacquainted. About 3 days after I returned, I had a notice from my unit stating my vehicle had 3 tickets at another base we were in, Germany, a few hours away in the past few months. When I went in to find out what the deal was, all 3 had photos attached to them for speeding through a checkpoint. All 3 had my wife and some other guy. She was kissing him in the 3rd pic. He was driving my car. I was visiting a dying relative in hospital, so could not attend some stupid college party he and his roommate organized. I told him I couldn't go and asked him if he could come over later after visiting hours in the hospital because I knew my relative would die soon and I really just needed someone to be there with me. He said he probably wouldn't be able to, as he needed to help his roommate with party preparations, but would come over later if they finish early. Next day, I saw pictures of him with his ex in his lap kissing, uploaded the previous night by his roommate. The roommate even knew we were dating. He was just too drunk to realize he added me as a friend a week earlier on Facebook and I would see the pictures. Her other boyfriend, who I didn't know existed, and I had a mutual friend who put 2 and 2 together and told me. I said I wanted to meet him, so he called him over. We talked out some things and then called her together at my suggestion. Good times were had by all -1. My fire alarm woke me up when it was low on batteries at 5 a.m. and thought it was strange that my girlfriend wasn't home, yet she was out drinking with her friend. I tried to call her, but she didn't answer. That's when I remembered that we had the friend's spare key. She lived like next house, so I went to check. And my girlfriend was sleeping in her friend's bed with some guy. If the fire alarm didn't woke me, I think I wouldn't have ever known. Had one of those catching up phone calls with a girl I used to be good friends with. Told her all about my girlfriend during the conversation. The next day, I'm supposed to see my girlfriend and she cancels on me. No big deal. A couple hours later, my old friend starts texting me asking me questions about my girlfriend. She ends up telling me she's pretty sure my girlfriend is in the back seat of a car with her and that my girl's been all over her boyfriend's brother and they're all on their way to the movies now. I try calling her and texting to confront her. She calls me back and breaks up with me. The cherry on top is my girlfriend and I work together, and the guy she's cheating with is my manager. She ends up quitting not long after, but I have to work with this guy for another year before I change jobs. Lol. We broke up, and then her best friend and best friend's husband told me that night. She had been fucking a few different people, but settled on one. They got married, had kids, then she cheated on him with me one night years later. I didn't know they were together. They divorced, she remarried, got divorced, and now she is on husband number 3. My favorite part is she portrays herself as an amazing Christian woman that is better than everyone because she is so Christian. I was out with this girl I'd been with a few months, went to a nice restaurant for dinner and stopped at a local dive later to hang with mutual friends and coworkers. I went into the men's room later to see her legs under a stall and heard a coworker's voice saying, "Suck that dick." Left the bathroom, went directly to bartender and had her split our check and paid mine and bounced like fucking Tigger. Game over. My dumb ass loved her.